I'm back with the next video, and today in this video we'll discuss about the MAC address, because when it comes to the networking, then MAC address is one of the most frequently used term. So now we'll see what do you mean by MAC address, for what it is used for, and how to change it. If we talk about the MAC, then MAC stands for Media Access Control Address. It is physical, permanent, unique address assigned to the network interface by the manufacturer. So now whether you have wireless card or a wire or a Ethernet card, each card come with a unique address. So there is no two devices in the world that consist of same MAC address, and this address will always be same to that specific device whether you connect to any system in the world. Now along with the MAC address, if we don't talk about the IP address, then I think our networking concept will not be complete. And here I'm just going to talk about the IP address because most of them are not clear about the concept of MAC and IP, and they are still in confusion. What do you mean by MAC, what do you mean by IP, why these two kind of address are assigned inside a system. So I just want to make clear about this concept brief. So let us see what do you mean by IP and MAC. If we talk about the MAC is simply a media access control, and IP means it is the internet protocol. And here if we talk about the MAC, then MAC is a physical address which is provided by a manufacturer. That means this address will exist in the reality which is given by the company. And if we talk about the IP is simply a logical address which is provided by the internet service provider, or you can simply say the ISP. And if we talk about the MAC, it is permanent for that particular device. That means it will never be changed. And if you talk about the IP, then you can say it can be changed by changing the ISP. That means if you change the company of the internet, then your IP will also be changed. And here is the length. If we talk about the MAC address, it is of 48 bits, and the length of IP is 32 and only 28 bits, because we have two IP, that is IPv4 and IPv6. Now let's come back to our MAC address. So if we talk about the MAC, so MAC address is used within the network to identify the device and transport data between the devices. So each piece of packet in network consists of source MAC and destination MAC, and here flow of data occurs from source MAC to destination MAC. We all know MAC is the physical address assigned to the each interface or network device for identifying of devices. So changing this will have the lots of advantage, and here you can see the benefit of changing the MAC. The first, it will increase the anonymity. That means you will be completely anonymous inside the system. And not only this, MAC is often used by the filters to prevent or allow device to connect to the network and perform the specific tasks. In the similar way, you can imitate other devices. That means by changing your MAC to another devices, MAC allow you to do such things which was not possible with your MAC, like bypassing filters or connect to the network that only specific with the specific MAC address can connect to. And you can also hide the identity. So in this way we have lots of benefits. Now to change the MAC address, it is very simple. So now let us come to the terminal. And now here if I type if config, you can see here all the network interface are listed. Here at first we'll have ET/0. This is the virtual interface created by the virtual box when we set the Kali to use the NAT network. So we have a different type of network, so we'll have discussion about that network in the coming lecture. Inside the NAT network ET/0 we have IP address, you can see here, and here is a netmask broadcast, and along with that the most important thing is the MAC address. And here the MAC address is the ether. Here the ether will present the MAC address, and you can find similar interface on other interface like L0. So here I have connected the two NAT network, due to which it is showing two ET/0. Here we have another interface like L0 and WLAN0. So only the difference is other L0 and WLAN0 do not have an IP address because they are not connected to the network. So you can see here inside L0 and WLAN0 there is no IP address like that of ETH0 because these networks are not connected to the internet. And if we talk about L0, so it is the default interface created by the Linux. And in the similar way you can see here WLAN0. So this is the real wireless adapter which I have connected. With the help of this I can connect to the Wi-Fi network. Now let us come back to our point. So here our main aim is to change the MAC address, and here I'm just going to change the MAC address of my wireless adapter, that means WLAN0. That means I'm going to change the MAC address of those adapters which I have connected from the outside environment. So here we have the MAC of our NAT network also, but I'm not going to change the MAC address of that. You can change the MAC address of that NAT network also in the similar way. Whatever the way I'll use here for LAN0, same method you can apply for ETH0 also. It will work for that also. Now to change the MAC address, at first I need to disable the interface, and for that I'll type here if config WLAN0 down, and this will disable the interface. After that, now I'll set the MAC address. You can see the MAC address of WLAN0 is B6OF30. You can see this MAC address. I'll just change that MAC address. If config WLAN0 SW. So here WLAN0 is the interface name, as you all know, and SW is the hardware address, and here ether will present the MAC address. And now I'll change the MAC address to this 00 12 okay 33 AF. Okay, I'll put 56 and EE. So this is the MAC address which I have changed here. And here you have to remember one point, and what is that point is the starting value of MAC address always should be a 0. So here I have started from 00, or you can simply put here even number also. That means it should start from the even number. Now here I have used this MAC address, but it is not compulsory you have to use the same MAC address. You can use any MAC address as your wish. That means whichever the device MAC address you want to copy, you can copy that address here. Now after that I'll just enable the interface once again, so by typing if config LAN0 op. So this should enable the interface, and after that I'll type the if config, and I'll check whether my MAC address is set to this or not. So just say it 001233. I'll just see it. Okay, so you can see here now my MAC address of LAN0 is set to how many 001233 AF56EE, which I have just set it now. So you can see here previous MAC address is this of WLAN0, and here I have set this, and you can see the new MAC address of my LAN0 is the address which I have set here. So in this way you can change the MAC address, but one thing you have to remember here is your MAC address will reverse back to the original once you restart your computer, because we are only changing the MAC address in memory, but we are not really changing the physical MAC address. So this is only for the temporary period of time. Okay, thank you for this video. We'll meet on the next video. Okay, bye everyone.